Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary, Tim Wood.
Let's sit down and make an actual plan, and we have definitely got to factor in that retirement danger zone. I wish to God someone had sat down and done that with my dad. We wish we would have known about these things.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Today is your opportunity to build the tomorrow you want. You've got an 87% chance of success. Well, son, that's a 13% chance of failure.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
And we welcome you into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. As always, we're here with the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement, Mr. Tim Wood. My name's Kevin McAlpin, and Tim and I thank you so much for joining us once again on the show, and we hope you are having a wonderful day. Coming up on today's program, with only 3% of Americans having $1 million saved for retirement, Tim's going to tell you how he can help out the other 97%. Plus, how to ease into retirement, but do so on your own terms. We'll get to that and a whole lot more, but first things first, we do say hello to the star of the show, the man of the hour, and my good friend, Mr. Tim Wood. And Tim, I hope you're staying warm these days, man. This weather is out of control, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is. And the weather is so finicky here in Tennessee. We'll have a day that's in the 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s, and then literally 24 hours later, it's in the 20s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a crazy winter so far. It's not baseball season yet. Just chill. We're getting there, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, we're getting there, but not fast enough for most of our liking. And Tim, we got a great show planned. We got a lot to get to on the program here today. But before we really dive into it, when I say we have a special guest, I don't think it gets more special than the person who is sitting to your right joining us on today's show, does it?
Not to me. Not to me. We are kind of starting a new thing here with the Safe Money Retirement Show, and this is the first episode. Some of y'all will remember recently we got the opportunity to interview Trisha Yearwood. My wife and I both did, and it went fantastic. And the replies I got from so many clients were, your wife did really great. Could she possibly be could she, and she's prettier than I am. She talks better than I do. I mean, it is what it is. So we're kind of starting this thing where we're going to have her on to have another point of view, to have someone that's outside the financial industry like you and I are, to have someone say, okay, Tim or Kevin, you just said such and such, but from my point of view, I have no idea what such and such meant, and kind of just to help, fill in those gaps. And then also we are going to start, and some of these people, Kevin, we're going to have some incredible guests that we are going to interview this year. We're going to start really kicking up the interview game, and there's going to be some there's going to be some A-list celebrities that we're going to interview this year. And then there's also going to be some people that are very vital to planning someone's retirement, like someone that, has something to do with the Alzheimer's Association, someone that has something to do with, well, what do most people do when they're retiring as far as their real estate goes? Or how does a retirement community actually work? And what's the difference between independent and assisted and skilled nursing and nursing? How does all that work? Those kind of things that people need to know for their retirement. And we're going to start incorporating that, starting as soon as possible. But Melissa's going to be here, be a voice of reason between the two of us, because we sure need it.
I've got my job cut out for me.
Certainly does.
Just saying.
And let me just throw this out there, Melissa, because obviously it was great to spend time with you when we were up in Nashville last month. But I mean, Tim, you're a radio guy. You did a heck of a job with the interview. But I got to be honest, I think Melissa really stole the show when it came to sitting down with Trisha Yearwood. Is that a fair assessment?
100%. I wanted her to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It was just like sitting down with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
At lunch over tea. I think that was my favorite thing, was just I could have gone back and talked to her for another 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If I thought I could get away with it, I'd have done it. She's a big deal.
Yeah, she really is. By the way, if you missed that interview, you can catch up on the podcast. You can hear that conversation that both Tim and Melissa had with Trisha Yearwood. I think there's some video floating around as well on SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Am I right?
There is, and also on our YouTube channel. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the YouTube channel. But yeah, if someone wants to hear that interview and they haven't, just go right to the website, Safe Money Retirement, and click on the show tab, and it scroll back a couple, and you're going to see Tim and Melissa interview Trisha Yearwood. So there it is.
Cool. Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, excited for what's to come in the year. We're happy to have Melissa on the show here today. And of course, you'll want to stay tuned. We got some big time interviews coming up here in 2026. All right, Tim. So I want to throw a little visual out there for our listeners here today, because we do have a lot to get to on the program. Now, listen, if you're driving, keep your eyes on the road. If you're not behind the wheel, close your eyes and picture a room with 100 people in the room. I'm going to ask the question here. How many folks have saved $1 million or more for retirement? Well, how many hands are going to go up, Tim? Well, guess what? The number is 3, believe it or not. On average, only 3%, I should say, of Americans, the other 97 have not gotten to that $1 million number. So, Tim, let's talk about how the planning process, how what you do every single day differs between that listener who has saved $1 million and the large majority of folks out there who haven't saved that $1 million figure.
Well, and you and I have discussed this before. A lot of people, for some reason, think that $1 million figure is some sort of a magic number.
Right.
And it's really not. I mean, like you said, the numbers, and actually going a little deeper, only 4% of Americans have between $500,000 and $1 million. So you're looking at a total of 7% of people total have $500,000 or more. That's an awfully small percentage, man. So what do you do if you've only got 80,000 saved? If you've only got 280,000 saved? It really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because obviously the more money you got, the easier it's going to be to plan for your retirement.
Sure.
But it's an individual thing. Like you and I discuss every single week. That's why I do an individual fact finder with every single person, and it's unique. I mean, for you on 280,000, you might be able to retire and have the retirement of your dreams, where for another person to have the retirement of their dreams, they might need 2.4 million.
Right.
It's really an individual thing. As what do you want to do in retirement? Do you have things paid off, or do you have payments? And what do you have as far as debt? And what's your plan? Are you planning on staying home? Are you planning on moving to a community that's going to cost you $10,000 a month or whatever? We've got to look at all of that stuff and figure out what's going to be the best plan for you based on how much you've got. So I don't want people to really focus in on, man, I've got to have $1 million, got to have $1 million. That's not a bad target. If that's doable in your situation and you're getting there and you can see that's a possibility, hallelujah, that's great. The biggest thing is everything that you've got saved for retirement at risk in the market? Because there's a correction coming, people. It's coming. I don't know whether it's going to be tomorrow. I don't know whether it's going to be next year. I don't know when it's coming, but we're in one of the biggest bubbles ever. And finish the rest of this sentence. What happens to every bubble in the history of the world?
They pop.
There you go. There you go. So are you ready? And doing the deep dive, and like you said, being independent and a certified financial fiduciary, whatever state you're in, we're going to look at what's the best plan for you in that state, period. From the best top-rated company, what's going to be the plan that's going to have the best rate, or the best income payout, or the best long-term care benefit, or the best life benefit, or. We're going to look at everybody. We're going to look at all of the top companies and show you all of your options from all of the top companies and come up with a solid, concrete plan that's going to get you where you want to go in retirement.
No doubt about it. If you're tuned in today, obviously you're taking that first step when it comes to putting more attention, putting more emphasis into planning for your retirement. And if you want to take it one step further, the website is safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. That is how you can reach Tim Wood and his team. We'll give you the phone number coming up here in just a few moments, but a great place to start, safemoneyretirement.com. And again, you'll speak with Tim. You'll be the one that he'll be the one that sits with you. He visits with you. He truly tries to get to know exactly where you are. And again, Tim, I guess there's that sense of relief for people when you sit down, because again, we're trained. We hear that $1 million number, and so many people probably get discouraged, get turned away, thinking, well, maybe I can't work with somebody because I'm not anywhere in that ballpark. But that's certainly not the case at all, is it?
No, it's not. I just did a plan for a lady last week, and the plan was $20,000. That's what she had. I mean, she had a little more than that because obviously we're not using all of it, but that's what she had that she could put towards something that made the most sense for her. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
I also did a plan for a guy a couple weeks ago, and it was over $1 million.
Wow.
Well, because he's got multiple seven figures, that made sense for him. One more thing I want to point out real quick before we move on. The average family savings in the United States, according to the Fed, is $339,000. That's the average. Now, are some getting averaged in there that have 30 million? Yes. Are some getting averaged in there that have 30,000? Yes. But that's an average. So if you want to look at where you're at, I mean, even $500,000 is way above average. So again, I don't want people to think, oh my God, I'm so far behind. I'm in my 50s and I only have 150,000 saved. That might be okay. We need to sit down and plot out a course. If you're in your mid 50s and you got about 10 more years to work, brother, that's a perfect time to sit down and let's make a plan over the next decade. What are we going to do so at 65, 67, whatever your target retirement date is, we can have whatever plan we need to execute work then. You know what I mean? Because we've got plans, as you know, that in guaranteed income plans that can have a guaranteed roll-up rate for that 10 or 15 years. So you could put money in now and let it roll up at a guaranteed, contractually guaranteed rate for 10 or 15 years and then turn on income based on what it rolled up to. So 150,000 put in now can be a very attractive income 12 years from now. So yeah, it's just a matter of sitting down and coming up with that plan individually.
I've heard him on the phone with all the clients, and it doesn't matter, like the lady with the $20,000 or the man with $1 million. He treats everybody the same because, as someone recently has told him, that this is kind of like his ministry. Helping people get through this part of life is like his ministry, and he cares about these people no matter what they have in the bank. And he's not going to treat you any different depending on what amount of money you have. So, and the fact that he's independent allows him to do that.
Sure. No doubt.
And I think it makes it more special.
Well, if you'd like to have those conversations, maybe you've been thinking about putting more emphasis into your retirement here in 2026. Well, that's not something you want to try to handle on your own, folks. That's why Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help. Pick up the phone. Give him a call today. Get on his calendar, 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233 or online anytime. The website is safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com.
It's now time for our Safe Money Story of the Week. Visit safemoneystories.com to view more.
In this week's Safe Money Story, I actually want to talk about a lady that came in and was really concerned that she didn't have enough money. So I had a client a couple of months ago whose husband had just passed away, and she came in hysterics because they only had a couple of $100,000 saved up for retirement. And she thought, oh my God, this is it. I'm gonna fall apart and wind up being in the poor folks' home the rest of my life. But what she didn't realize is she did not know exactly how the survivor benefit worked for Social Security. So her husband got a lot more Social Security than she did, but when he passed, she then started getting his Social Security. That's the Social Security survivor benefit. So if you are married, whoever has the higher Social Security benefit, that's the benefit that's going to continue. So if the person that's got the higher benefit is the survivor, then they're going to keep obviously still getting it. If they're the one that passes, the other one is then going to lose what they were getting, but they're going to get the bigger benefit. So then I saw a little bit of weight come off her shoulders. She's like, oh, okay, so I'm going to be able to keep Bill's social. Okay, well, that's good. And then we found out she doesn't have a mortgage. She owns her home. And what we determined was she wanted to stay in her home. She was still she didn't have any mental problems at all, was still physically fine. So her bills were very minimal, very minimal. I mean, her expenses were about $24,000 a year, and that included everything. So the Social Security almost covered what she needed. Told you she didn't have a whole lot saved, but we took a little of that. I don't remember the exact amount. I think it was about 120,000 or so. And we turned that into a guaranteed income product that would start immediately. So when she walked out, she knew, okay, I'm going to get Bill's Social Security of X dollars, and I've got this guaranteed income product that's going to pay me X dollars. Well, that's going to give me an excess of about $600 a month more than I'm going to need. Is that right, Tim? Why, yes, ma'am, it is. So she walked out happy. I mean, literally, there were some happy tears as she was leaving. I get a lot of hugs. And, she was really happy when she left because she knew that she was then going to be able to have her own safe money retirement.
800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233 or online anytime. The website, once again, folks, is safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, we'll step aside for a couple of minutes, let you make that call, get on Tim's calendar, and we'll continue with much more of this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim and Melissa Wood right after this.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. You've heard me talk about Tim Wood, certified financial fiduciary and owner of Safe Money Retirement for a while now. But what I haven't told you is that he's also a retirement income certified professional. Now, why should you care? Well, maybe you have pre-tax and after-tax retirement accounts, and you need to know how that's going to work. Or maybe you still don't have enough guaranteed lifetime income to cover your monthly bills. Or maybe your entire savings is still exposed to risk. Listen, I met Tim personally, and I can tell you that his team can help you. I want you to write this down, safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Or call 800-913-SAFE to schedule a no-obligation, free 15-minute discovery call with Tim. You know I don't trust just anyone, so do your own homework on Tim Wood at safemoneyretirement.com/Beck and request a copy of his best-selling book. 800-913-SAFE, safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Get started today.
It is the Safe Money Retirement Show, and we are glad to have you with us here alongside Tim Wood, founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. And of course, special guest joining on this program, his much better half, his lovely bride, Melissa, joining us here on the show this week. My name's Kevin McAlpin. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and we thank you so much for spending part of it with us here on the show. Well, guys, I saw an interesting article here recently from MoneyWise.com telling the story of a woman named Tracy from my hometown of Philadelphia. Now, listen to this. She's 62 years old, not quite ready to retire just yet. However, as Tim, I'm sure you hear a lot, her health has become an issue here lately. So she's curious, can I scale back from full-time work to part-time work? So what are some of the questions you ask? What are some of the boxes maybe you have to check if someone comes to you in a similar situation to Tracy from the city of brotherly love?
I actually talk to people about this exact situation a lot, Kevin, and it's people that come in a situation like Tracy, and it's also people that come and think that they are ready to fully retire. And once we look at their numbers, unfortunately, sometimes I have to be the bearer of bad news and say, listen, man, I know that you want to cut the cord altogether and, play golf every day, but the numbers are right here. They're black and white. And if you do that, you better hope you don't have any extra expenses ever. And sometimes people have to look at part-time retirements even after their retirement date. So, yeah, that's something that I talk to people a lot about is part-time retirement. And the first thing that you have to really talk about is whether the employer is going to allow it or not. Because some employers will allow it and some won't. There's really no rhyme or reason. I've had clients that have gone to their employer. I just had one maybe 2 months ago, really nice older gentleman, that he went and talked to the owner of the company that I come to find out he's worked for 42 years. And the owner of the company said, absolutely, whatever you need, 10 hours, 20 hours, I need to keep you. You've done this so long. All these clients know you and you can just call them up and you can get right to the owner. I can't do that. You've got to stay. We'll do whatever. Conversely, I've had people that you would think the company would say, that the company's like, no, we need a full-time person here, and if you can't do it, that's fine. But then another thing to consider if that happens is, depending on what you're doing for work, there are a lot of people that actually do contract work after they retire, and in some cases make more money than they did when they worked for a company. I've got someone that worked for a power company in the state of North Carolina, which will remain nameless, and he retired and is actually making almost double per hour what he was making working for the company as an engineer. Now retired because of his background and his pedigree and what he's done for the last 40 years. Smaller energy companies are like, that guy knows what he's doing. So they'll bring him in and pay him a ton of money, and he can work a few hours a week and make a nice chunk to go along with their guaranteed lifetime income annuity that we've got him and their Social Security. And plus it's keeping him engaged and active. And, there's a lot of positives. But the other thing specifically for someone that's in Tracy's situation, let's talk about that real quick to answer your question. The three things that I think someone really has to look at. Number one is their health insurance coverage.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And if you're going to want to try to retire at 62 part-time, again, here's big red flag, something you got to ask HR. If I go part-time, can I keep my benefits? Because if the answer is no, what the heck are you going to do for the next 3 years until 65? Because you can't get Medicare till 65. Once you hit Medicare age, you're going to be fine. But those 3 years, trust me, we've paid for independent insurance, and it is stupid expensive for poor coverage. I mean, awful coverage is a lot of money. So that's definitely something that needs to be factored in, is what's going to be the plan for that, and will your company allow that? That's a big thing. The second thing is, how much have you got saved for retirement? Because we need to sit down again, make that individual plan. What's your goal? What's your expenses? Do you have your house paid off? Do you have a car payment? Do you want to travel a lot when you retire? Let's talk about those health issues you're having, Tracy. What are they? Are you still going to be able to work? Or, there's a whole lot of things to talk about. And then lastly is Social Security. Has she already turned on Social Security? What's the plan for that? Are we going to try to go to full retirement age? Or are we going to try to go all the way till 70? And if so, how do we bridge? There's a whole lot of things that we will be able to get and uncover in the fact finder based on her specific situation.
Well, if you're in a similar situation, maybe you are thinking about stepping back a little bit from full-time to part-time work, and you're wondering about some of the variables that could be in play, including health insurance. Obviously, that's a big one, especially the older we get. Well, that's something that Tim Wood and his team at Safe Money Retirement, they can help you with. They can help you sit down and start putting pen to paper, start giving you an idea of what all these things are going to look like as you inch closer and closer to retirement. Now, all you need to do is pick up the phone and get on his calendar today. 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. Or, of course, you can always contact Tim and his team online anytime. The website is safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, I know we've talked about this in the past. We know the last few years, the so-called Magnificent Seven has certainly been fueling the market, and that's brought some fears of a growing bubble that could eventually burst, like we referred to earlier in the show. But I wanted to play this for you. This is wealth manager Eddie Gabor recently telling Fox Business other sectors in the market could actually be offering more opportunities here in 2026.
So when you see the rate of change of the economy growing as fast as we anticipate, while the Fed is being very accommodative, I think you're going to see this market move in a big way. And one of the most bullish things we've seen is a broadening out of this market. This is telling us that the health of the market and the economy is getting stronger, and you don't have to only own tech. Tech was obviously the story of this year. I think you'll have other areas lead in the first half of 2026. So broadening out is not only healthy, but I think it will give you additional growth versus just being concentrated in tech. All
right, so Tim, someone listening today, maybe they are, worried about that risk of over-owning certain sectors, but how can you really help them, while still taking advantage? We know the market's been doing very, very well here for the last 8 or 9 months.
It has. And that is something that y'all hear me talk about all the time. Instead of focusing on specific sectors, because I know that especially on Fox News and MSNBC, there's these people that think they're soothsayers and they can tell you that, gold's going to do this and, high tech's going to do that. They don't know. They have no free, just like the weathermen. My wife and I laugh all the time because if you check the weather, I swear to God, they're totally guessing. I mean, for real. They may see a front coming just like we can see on the radar if I pulled up my iPhone. But other than that, it might rain, it might not rain. Thanks.
Well, and his app of AccuWeather and mine will tell us two different things at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, what someone needs to focus in on, instead of trying to pick the exact sector and the exact stock and all of that stuff, is what do you need to protect for your retirement? So if you've got $500,000 there, okay, great. You might not need to protect all of that for your retirement. But we need to sit down and figure out how much of whatever you've got saved, and whether it's in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever the heck it's in, it doesn't make any difference. How much of that do we need to protect based on what your age is, based on what your needs are in retirement, based on your expenses, based on a whole bunch of things? How much do we need to protect? Because that bubble is going to burst. It is. I promise you it is. Sooner or later, it's going to burst. I think right now there's a lot of artificial inflation going on in the market. And I mean, that bubble is only going to get so big, and there's going to come a day. There's going to come a day of reckoning. It's coming.
Right.
So what do you need to protect? And then we can put you into something that's going to give you still good growth when the market's up, potentially maybe a plan with an actual S&P index that you can make money off of when the S&P is doing well, but put you into a plan that loses all of the fees and loses all of the downside risk. All of it. So even if the market goes off that cliff and the bubble bursts, you know, however much we put in there, 150,000, 250, 1.7 million, whatever it is, that's protected. No matter what, the market could crash and go down 30, 50, 70%. My money's still safe that I got to have. Now you can still have some over here to play in the, whatever you want to play in. Knock yourself out. I play in penny stocks a lot. I think it's fun. And sooner or later, I'm going to hit one and ding, ding, ding. I mean, it's going to happen.
He's going to make $100 somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to kill it. Yeah, I'm going to be able to go somewhere to dinner.
There you go.
So that's going to happen. But what we need to do is the focus needs to be, what do we need to protect? What do we need to have so you know you've got your own safe money retirement?
No doubt about it. Let me ask you this too. So Tim, someone listening today, maybe they feel like they are too into tech. Other than picking up the phone and giving you a call or visiting the website to schedule that initial consultation, what are some things you can help them with when it comes to maybe rebalancing a little bit without feeling like, hey, I don't want to miss out on a potential great opportunity as things continue to rise like they have lately? How can you help our listeners in that category?
So explain to me, since I don't know, what is the Magnificent Seven? What are you talking about? I don't know what that is.
Well, Magnificent Seven is what they talk about, and it's basically kind of the 7 really big companies. That's Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Tesla, and NVIDIA.
Oh, okay.
So essentially, when they're talking about, what's going on with the Magnificent Seven, a lot of people, when they're looking at the overall market, some look at the S&P 500, which is the biggest 500 companies.
Right.
Some just look at these Magnificent Seven companies because those are, in theory, the biggest, most stable, companies that supposedly aren't going to have the bottom fall out at any moment.
Well, maybe you're like Melissa. Maybe you're tuning in today going, what in the world are they talking about when it comes to the Magnificent Seven? Or maybe, just maybe, you're looking for more details on how to protect or how much you need to protect when it comes to your income in your retirement. That's exactly why Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help. Pick up the phone. Give them a call today. Start putting that plan in place for your financial future. 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. Or you can always reach Tim right there on the website at safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, I know we say it all the time. It flies when we're having fun, and it's been another great show here this weekend. And before we do run out of time on the program, my friend, the floor is once again all yours for the final word.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone listening. Hope everyone is doing well and getting through this long, cold winter well. We talked about several things today. First of all, the new format for the show that's coming. Everyone just stay tuned. It's going to be a really exciting year with things coming that I can't even mention yet, but it's going to be a really great year. We talked about, do you need $1 million to retire? And we discussed, no, you don't. We also just recently, very last thing we talked about was being in the different sectors in the market and how that's really, yes, that is important, but that's something that you would work with your regular investment guy on. What we're going to look at with Safe Money Retirement is how much do we need to protect and how do we need to structure that for your retirement. But the biggest thing I want someone to take from is what we were talking about, the story of Tracy in Philadelphia. And if someone is thinking about doing a part-time retirement, there are some really big sticking points that they need to make sure, some hurdles they've got to be able to clear in order for it to work. What are you going to do for health insurance? As Melissa said, is the spouse's health insurance, is that an option? What are you going to do for Social Security? When are we going to turn that on? Because that's going to be a big piece. What do you have saved for retirement? Those are things that are really big. And it's not only for people that are in the situation like her with health concerns. It's people that come to talk to me that are trying to figure out, when can I retire? And sometimes a part-time retirement is a perfect fix for them to have their own safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.